The elevator doors slid shut behind me with a soft, metallic click. The screen above the buttons flickered once, before changing to a number I had never seen before. It wasn't a glitch or an error message. It was a clean, glowing floor number that didn't exist in the building. At first, I laughed under my breath and told myself that elevators do strange things sometimes. Buildings malfunction, screens break, and stress makes people imagine patterns that aren't there. But the elevator wasn't shaking or stalling. It was moving smoothly, like it knew exactly where it was going. If you're already feeling that uneasy feeling in your stomach, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and stay with Unblinking, because stories like this only get worse the longer they go on. This isn't a jump scare story. This is the kind of fear that stays with you when the lights are off. The numbers on the screen kept climbing past the highest floor I knew. I worked in this building long enough to know every floor by memory. There were supposed to be 22 floors. The screen showed 23. The elevator slowed down as if it had reached its destination. The soft chime rang, calm and polite, like nothing was wrong. Then the doors began to open. The hallway outside didn't look unfinished or broken. It looked old, like it had been forgotten on purpose. The lights were dim and yellow, and the air smelled like dust and something metallic underneath it. I stayed inside the elevator, my hand hovering near the closed door button. Every instinct told me not to step out. The door stayed open longer than usual, like the elevator was waiting for a decision. That's when I noticed something that made my chest tighten. Doors were lining the hallway. Each one had a small metal plaque, and every plaque had a name engraved on it. Some of the names felt familiar in a way I couldn't explain. Others made my skin crawl, for no clear reason. I scanned them slowly, hoping not to recognize anything. Then I saw one that stopped my breathing. It had my name on it. The moment I read my name, the elevator doors slid shut behind me on their own. I never pressed the button. The sound echoed down the hallway like a final decision being made. When I turned back, the elevator was already gone. The hallway felt longer than it looked, stretching farther the more I stared at it. The lights flickered in a slow, uneven rhythm that made my head ache. Every door looked identical except for the names. None of them had handles. I stepped toward the door with my name, my feet moving against my will. The air grew colder with every step. My breath started to fog in front of my face, even though the building had never been cold before. Before I could touch the door, one of the plaques began to change. The metal letters shifted slowly, scraping against each other. The name rearranged itself into someone else's name. It was the name of a coworker who had disappeared months earlier. People said he quit without notice. The police said there was no sign of a struggle. Seeing his name here made my stomach turn. A soft sound came from behind the door. It wasn't a voice exactly. It sounded like breathing, shallow and tired, like someone trying not to be heard. If you're still watching, stay with Unblinking, because this is where reality starts to bend. This place doesn't follow rules. It follows people. Another door down the hall began to tremble. The name on it blurred and then went dark. Something thumped softly from the other side, slow and deliberate. I realized then that these doors weren't rooms. They were records. They weren't showing where people lived. They were showing where people were kept. The lights flickered again, and all the plaques glowed at once. Names appeared and disappeared in rapid flashes. Some stayed longer than others. That's when I understood the worst part. My name wasn't permanent yet. It was still being decided. A sharp ding echoed through the hallway. The same polite sound the elevator always made. The noise came from nowhere and everywhere at once. The lights froze mid-flicker, locking the shadows in place. Every door stopped trembling at the same moment. The elevator doors reappeared at the far end of the hall, as they had always been there. I didn't see them arrive. 1 second, there was only a wall, and the next, the metal doors were standing open. Inside, the elevator was empty. The screen above the doors didn't show a number. It showed names. They scrolled slowly, one after another, like a list being reviewed. I watched in silence as unfamiliar names passed by. A scream burst from one of the doors, sharp and desperate. The plaque on that door glowed brightly before going dark forever. When the light faded, the name vanished completely. The scream stopped as suddenly as it began. The hallway felt heavier, like the walls had moved closer. I realized that the door would never open again. My name appeared on the elevator screen. It paused there, longer than the others. The elevator let out a soft chime. Waiting. If you're still here with Unblinking, don't look away now, because this is where the choice becomes real. Walking into the elevator might mean survival. Staying could mean being recorded forever. The door with my name creaked softly behind me. I didn't touch it, but it opened anyway. Inside was nothing but darkness and the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. The elevator chimed again, louder this time. The screen flashed once. My name started to flicker. I realized then the elevator wasn't a way out. It was a filter, and it was running out of patience. I stepped toward the elevator just as the door behind me opened wider. The darkness inside that room pulled at me like gravity, cold and endless. The breathing grew louder, closer, like it was right behind my ear. I ran into the elevator without thinking. The doors slammed shut instantly, and the hallway vanished. The screen flashed rapidly, names scrolling too fast to read. My chest burned as the elevator dropped, not down, but sideways. Last building had turned. I felt watched, even though I was alone. The elevator stopped with a final chime, and the screen went blank. When the doors opened, I was back in the lobby where I started. Everything looked normal again. Bright lights, clean floors, and people walking as if nothing had happened. I stumbled out, shaking, trying to convince myself it was over. That's when I saw the directory on the wall. Listed between the real floors was a small metal plate with no button. It had my name engraved on it. I never use elevators alone anymore. Sometimes, when I ride with others, the screen flickers for half a second. I swear I see my name flash before it disappears again. If this story got under your skin, comment below and tell me what you think that floor really is. Share this with someone who hates elevators as much as you do. And stay with Unblinking, because some places don't forget the people who escape them.